Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, is hitting the opposition with Pluto, god of the underworld, Friday, July 12th. And this energy will last throughout the entire weekend. Hello, my name is Eliane Nicole, your astrologer and tarot reader. And in this video, I'm going to talk about Venus's opposition to Pluto. This is a very hard aspect for Venus, and it means that Venusian topics such as women, sisters, daughters, art, beauty, love, relationships, attraction, justice are going to be coming up against some oppositional forces this weekend. This is an interesting juxtaposition to what Venus was just going through the week before. On July 10th, and 11th, she was in the trine to Neptune just before she left Cancer. At 29 degrees Cancer, she formed this very beautiful trine with Neptune. And so Venus was feeling very idealistic and romantic and artistic and mystical. And, you know, there was all this dreamy energy and a lot of compassion and this beautiful exchange of emotions and emotional support. And then she comes into Leo and she's immediately met by this hard opposition from Pluto, god of the underworld. Now, who will feel this personally? You will feel this personally if you have planets in the early degrees of any of the fixed signs, such as Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, or Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, or Taurus. If you have any planets in the very early degrees, first 3 degrees of those signs, it'll be very personal to you. Also, if you're a Libra or Taurus rising, that means that you are Venus ruled. So this will be a very personal aspect to you. If you have any of your personal planets or a lot of planets that are in Taurus or Libra, this will be personal to you. If you have a lot of personal planets in Leo, this will be personal to you. Otherwise, this is an energy you might be viewing more on the world stage, or you might be observing it going on with people around you. But basically, Venus is coming up against some dark oppositional forces, which Pluto represents. And Pluto, you know, he brings up things like power struggles. So there can be power struggles around women, sisters, art, beauty, justice, love, attraction. Excuse me. I've never sneezed during a video before, but I'm going to keep it and keep going. Also, you know, Pluto can have to do with secrets coming up, you know, things that have been buried beneath the surface finally rising to be seen, you know, and these are tougher things like the shadow coming up. You know, Venus and Leo, you know, on a world stage perspective, it has a lot to do with celebrities, royalty, comedians, women celebrity, women royalty, women comedians coming up against oppositional forces this weekend. That might be in the headlines, you know. But in terms of our personal lives, for those who are experiencing it personally, it is certainly, you know, it has to do with, you know, women, sisters, daughters, love, attraction, sex, beauty, art, justice. And there can be obstacles, restrictions, there can be an impasse, there can be a line in the sand that's being drawn. And again, this is a very interesting time for Venus because she's just coming off of this very idealistic trine with Neptune that she was in for the whole entire week before Friday, leading up to the opposition with Pluto. She was in the trine. She was at the 29th degree of Cancer, the final degree of Cancer before she stepped into Leo. She was forming this very beautiful, very artistic, idealistic, romantic trine with Neptune. Neptune is the oneness that connects us all. Neptune is spirituality and religion. Neptune is healing. Neptune is like mysticism. He deals with music and art, painting, filmmaking, photography, anything to do with images. So Venus was, you know, in this very beautiful exchange with Neptune where, you know, she was, you know, she probably had on rose-colored shades and she was feeling very, you know, intoxicated with around beauty and art and justice and love. And then she moves into Leo from this very watery kind of emotional sign into Leo, this fiery sign, and Pluto immediately opposes her and says, nope, here's a roadblock, here's a challenge, here's a test, here's something you have to overcome. And this harkens back to February 17th when Venus and Pluto met at 0 degrees Aquarius. And this was a time where Pluto was planting seeds for Venus about more like longer term topics of like what the next 20-year arc of her life may look like in the Pluto and Aquarius era that we're entering. But then they separated. But now as she enters Leo, they meet again in an oppositional way. And it's kind of like, you know, what has she learned in these past few months? Because soon after she met with Leo on February 17th, she descended into her underworld journey. And what that means from the perspective of planet Earth is that we can't see Venus in the night sky anymore. And that has a very significant oracular meaning astrologically when we can no longer see Venus. It means she's on an underworld journey. So it means that people who are Venus ruled, people who have a strong connection to Venus in their personal charts, or even Venusian topics for the collective, are on an underworld journey. Again, this is women, sisters, daughters, love, beauty, attraction, sex, art, romance, justice. And Venus has to face her fears around these topics. She has to face her grief or her jealousy or any darker emotions. She may need to recover from a sickness, an illness. She may, you know, have been hurt in some way and she needs to go through this underworld journey. And that's where she's been these past few months. And it's almost like this opposition with Pluto is her final test, her final hurdle to overcome in the underworld journey before she emerges as the evening star, which is where she is going to be like celebrated and honored and doted upon. And but that's later in the month. That's at least in Los Angeles, that's not until around July 28th because it has to do with the longitude and latitude. And we will be able to see her in the evening sky again, and she will be in all of her glory. But before that, she has this final, very harsh test with Pluto, and it's an obstacle to overcome. It's a line in the sand being drawn. It's an impasse. It's a roadblock. It's almost like Pluto doesn't want to let her go from his clutches, and she needs to face him. She needs to face her fears finally. And again, there's a spectrum of ways that this can present for people. It will present for different people in different ways. It all depends on our own personal astrological coding. I encourage you to contact me for a reading if you want to know how Venus's opposition to Pluto will manifest in your life. A lot of it has to do with what your rising is, where your Venus is, what planets you have, and any of the signs that are involved. But in general, I gave the broad strokes of what this transit means for us on planet Earth. And I will leave you with a tarot card just in time to hopefully finish this reading in under 10 minutes. And that is, the Tower, a paradigm shift in Venusian topics, you know? Something is coming down. So good luck, everybody, and contact me for a reading if you'd like to know more about this. I look forward to reading with you. I read on Zoom, so I can read for people anywhere in the world, in the country. Talk to you soon.